You can start. Ustaz.
So, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Welcome, dear brothers and sisters, to this session. I'm really happy to be with Sam Alim again. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us always on the ilm and da'wah in this world life and in Jannah at the hereafter, inshallah. So the topic of this series will be around the family in Islam, and I will try to make it like it is not only a mere fiqh aspect or a mere counseling aspect. I will try to mix between what issues can be driven from the fiqh issues and what issues can be driven from, let's say, a life experience or counseling or let's say a practical aspect of life. So it will cover, inshallah, a theoretical aspect and a practical aspect. It's not necessarily to be a fiqh issues only. Why? Because as Muslims, as wives and husbands, we need to mix and we need to learn from a fiqh issue, from a fiqh perspective, and also from a life experience perspective. Also, why? Because if we said you have to do 1, 2, 3 as a wife, or you have to do 1, 2, 3 as a husband, means it is just a theoretical knowledge. But how to deal with real life experience, how to deal with the shortcomings that may arise from the practice of these rights and obligations. In this case, we need a more broader and more comprehensive approach to deal with spouse in Islam, or to deal with the life of spouse in Islam. So we will decide, or we will divide the lecture to be 3 segments or 3 parts. The first part is what is before the rights and obligations of husbands and wives in Islam. So what is before? We should talk about the rights, yes, but what is before the rights and what is before the obligations, and the part of the rights and obligations itself, and what is or what should be after knowing the life, the rights and obligations. So these are 3 major parts: what is before the rights and obligations, what is after the rights and obligations, and the rights and obligations itself. So what should we cover before the rights and obligations? If we bring a Muslim wife or a Muslim husband, or if we bring a Muslim in general who didn't marry before, in this case, we shouldn't give them points or merely points of what to do, or what you should do and what you shouldn't do, do's and don'ts. So we should give a background, or we should build a foundation about what is life, or what is the marital life in Islam, what are the boundaries of the marital lives in Islam, what should be done in terms of demanding your rights or fulfilling your responsibilities as a Muslim wife or a Muslim husband. So we have to make like this comprehensive approach in order to give a real life approach. Jazakallah khair, sister. I will share the screen, inshallah, also, because I just logged in from my computer. So what are the stations before? Sister, can you please? Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
What are the stations, or what are the points that should be discussed before we discuss the point of, the points of rights and obligations? Of course, we have to cover, or we have to focus on, or we have to shed light on the position of family in Islam. Family in Islam is the building block of the Muslim nation, or of the Muslim Ummah. They have to realize that marriage in Islam is not to gather two persons and that's it, or is not to demand some rights or fulfill some desires and that's it. Marriage in Islam, or the family in Islam, has a broader meaning and a foundational importance about importance. So we have to realize that yes, we have a contractual relationship. We have two parties, and each party of this relationship has his own or her own rights or obligations. So it is only the first point. So in this case, we have a intrinsic or complicated relationship. Not only to minimize the importance of marriage or the necessity of marriage to one aspect or two aspects. There are many aspects which can be summarized or briefed in: it is the building block of the Muslim nation, or it is the building block of the Muslim society. So in this case, it is a social relationship more than an individual relationship. Family in Islam has a social relationship or a social importance that is more important than the individual benefits of marriage. Also, we have to go through the positions or the status of women in Islam. Why we speak about women? Because the lecture would be designed to speak on the rights of the wife, which will be the responsibilities and duties of the husband. And in the second stage, we would speak about the obligations of wives, which will be the rights of the husbands. So, of course, position of women in Islam is that Islam had given the responsibility of taking and guarding and maintaining women, whatever the type of relationship of these women to the Muslim individuals or to the male individuals of the society. So whatever, she is a mother, she is a wife, she is a daughter, she is a sister, whatever the kind of relationship, even if it is, if the relationship is beyond this closed circle, in this case also we have the same rights or the same obligations upon the men or upon the male individuals in Islam. A general obligations that are not on the side of the wives or the female section in Islam, the female side. So we have to maintain that there is a difference of responsibilities and rights between males and female, or in another, in one aspect, between the husband and the wife in Islam. Also, one of the more important things to discuss is the concept of rights. If we are speaking about rights, so we have to define what are what is the concept of rights. Before we mention or number some of the rights, whether related to the husband or related to the wife, what is the concept of a right? A right from the husband side or from the wife's side is what should be expected, or what should be fulfilled, or what should be done in terms of the laws and regulations of the family in Islam or in Sharia, or not only in Sharia, but in terms of the societal norms also. So the term right can cover some of the obligations from the Sharia perspective, and also can cover some of the norms of the society or habits of the society as a right also. Why? Because in Islam, the marriage in Islam, or the Sharia laws in Islam, in terms of marriage, in terms of family in general, Islam, alhamdulillah, made the boundaries, or made the main milestones to build a Sharia building. But Islam left, or the Sharia left, many of the judgments, or many of the aspects of its judgments to the habits and norms of the society. So it doesn't, it is not necessary that these rights or these obligations are not only um, an obligation from the Quran or an obligation from the Sunnah. Still, some rights or some obligations can be done also from a social aspect. So the concept of rights, which will be also obligations on the other side, is broader than what should be thought in the text of the Quran and text of the Sunnah. So that it is important to combine between all the Shari, or the scholars, or the seekers of knowledge who are exposing themselves to these kinds of issues. It is important to have a long life background, or a long life experience, in addition to the ilm of Sharia, or the knowledge of Sharia. Why? Because he will be studying his society, the norms and habits of society, and he will be mixing between the academic or the Sharia knowledge background, and what should be done from a social perspective, or what shouldn't be done from a social perspective. If we said this can be the integrated approach of dealing with the issues of marriage, not only marriage, but the fiqh of family in general. Because many of the judgments, many of the rulings has been left to the social habits, which will be different from one society to another society, from one time to another time. Also, one of the important points before we talk about the rights or obligations from the sister side or from the brother side, we have to realize that if we are speaking about rights, about rights and all rights, a person who doesn't have a life experience would find himself or would find herself, yes, this is very good experience, this is very good rights, I want all rights at the same time, 100%. I want to fulfill all of these rights. I want to find all of what I heard as a practice in my daily life, in my practical life. Yes, it is important that a person, or that a husband or the wife fulfill all of the rights and obligations to the perfect level. But unfortunately, we are not, or we cannot fulfill all of the rights and obligations to this perfect level or to the perfect level. Why? Because if you find any work to do or you can do, you will find it. You could have doing it better than what you did already. Anything, any act in your life, you can do it better in another time. Or why? This is what we say, to land from the level of perfection to the level of reality. If you pray or if you tried your best to pray a good prayer, you can do it. And with more effort, you can do better prayer in terms of maintaining the rulings or maintaining the khushu' or maintaining other aspects of prayer. It is also in fasting. It is also in any act. Even it is not Sharia perspective. It is from also a work or professional perspective. It is the same. So the room for improving your actions is still there. Whatever the level you are, or wherever the level you are, there is a room of improvement. So don't try to look at this issue from a perfectionist perspective, because you will find some hardships and you will find some difficulties when you deal with your partner, with your life partner, because you will necessarily find some shortcomings in this right or in this obligation. And the essence of marriage is built on sacrifice more than the fulfilling the rights or fulfilling the desires. So we have to be aware about this. Also, let us not be deluded with what we see on the social media or on the films or videos, YouTube videos, and Instagram videos, because people are just let's say exporting the beautiful aspect of their life. So if we look at this so-and-so film, so-and-so video, and the people who doesn't have life experience would say, yeah, I want to be like this, or I want to be like this person, or like that person, or I want to have such and such love story, for example, something like this. Also try to land from the level of I can say it is a hypocrisy in terms of films or in terms of Instagram videos or something like this. It is a one-side exposure. It's not a holistic view of their life or a holistic experience of their life. So try to be realistic. Try not to be deluded by some of the unrealistic works, cinema works, or TV works, or TV series, for example. So try to be realistic from this perspective. When we speak about the rights and obligations, yes, we offer the essence of Sharia and the rulings of Sharia and the boundaries of Sharia, but at the same time, we have to be in the level of we are always improving ourselves. We are always improving ourselves. No one will reach the perfect level in fulfilling all rights and obligations. Also, one of the points before we discuss the rights and obligations is that no one, as we said before, no one will be perfect, or no one is perfect. Someone will try to, if we say, let's say, for example, the wife has 10 rights, which will be obligations on the husband. So in this case, no one will perfectly do the 10 rights perfectly fulfill the 10 obligations or 10 duties. At the same time, on the other hand, if the wife has 10 obligations or 10 duties towards the husband, so in this case also there is no wife will perfectly fulfill the 10 rights or the 10 obligations or duties. So this is the case. We have to be realistic, and we have to let's say expect or appreciate or at least acknowledge the shortcomings of every person, especially the persons who are closer to us, because the more you are closer to another person, the more his shortcomings or her shortcomings will be visible. So in this case, as we said before, yes, you have the right to demand your rights, and you have the right to know your rights, and to demand the fulfillment of your rights from the other partner, but at the same time try to, as the Prophet ﷺ said, سددوا وقاربوا, سددوا وقاربوا, in demanding your rights, and also fulfilling your obligations, and also try to prioritize your area of fulfilling and your area of demanding also, as we'll see inshallah in the point of demanding, how to demand your rights as a husband or as a wife. So the next point is the rights stations. So we just are moving forward now to the stations of rights. What are the rights of wives, or in another narration, what are the obligations of husbands towards wives? What are the rights of wives upon the husbands, and what are the obligations of husbands towards the wives? And also we will reverse this issue inshallah, when we're talking about what are the rights of husbands upon the wives, or what are the obligations of wives towards the husbands. So from the wife perspective, what are the rights? The first right is the dowry or the mahar. The dowry or the mahar in Islam is mentioned in many verses, in verses, in narrations, in hadith about the Prophet ﷺ and his companion. Let's say the mahar in Islam, as we may see also inshallah in the rulings of khidbah and nikah, the mahar in Islam is obligatory upon the husband towards the wives. So every wife should have her own dowry, and this dowry is the ownership of this dowry should be the wife's ownership, not even her father or her brother or her male relatives, including her father. So the dowry is a complete and a pure right of the sister, or of the wife, or of the female upon the husband. The dowry or the nature of dowry is different. In some narrations, the Prophet ﷺ accepted the dowry as teaching some of the ayahs or surahs of the Quran. He also accepted some service or in-kind service. He also accepted or demanded his companions ﷺ pay a financial or a monetary dowry. So the issue or the shape of dowry can be different things, can be teaching, can be service, can be money, can be any kind of wheels, like cars, buildings, anything that can be that the woman can benefit from the financial perspective and from the religious perspective, or from the general social perspective. So this is the obligation. The first obligation in this
Ustaz, I'm sorry, not really clear. Your voice is like on off.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Is it clear now?
Yes, now better. Thank you, Ustaz.
So the issue in many of the Islamic society is that they are demanding, or they demand a high level of dowry, and in turn they are making marriage between especially youth is complicated and difficult. So in this case, we have to, let's say, point 2 points. The first point is the dowry should be minimized to the level of let's say, to the level of average. Yes, in some cases we have to let's say, or some people are demanding let's say a symbolic dowry, if you can say it. It's a symbolic dowry. Symbolic dowry mean they are trusting the person 100%, and they are or they have the certain view of life that we have to minimize the expectations or the average of the financial burden of the husband or of the person who will be a husband of our daughter. They have a very or a low expectations from the financial level, to the extent that they can say you can teach her, as happened in the Sahaba, in the era of the Sahaba. Yes, we have the average as a common and mainstream thing to do, or to apply, or to demand. And we have also a room for some people who may reduce this average. But the wrong practice is to go higher than this average. Some people have the concept that if we increased the dowry or the financial burden of the husband, he will maintain our daughter, or he will let's say, he will not make injustice to our daughter or something like this, which is a wrong perspective, or a wrong practice from the life experience. Many people may pay millions of dollars, or millions of pounds, or millions of ringgit as a dowry, but they mistreat or misdeal with their wives later on. So increasing the mahar is not a reason that the man will treat his wife in a good manner. Also, increasing the dowry to an accepted level will not increase the social status of the family, because also some families will say would request a higher level of dowry. Why? Because they have to put themselves in this so and so level, social level. Also, it is not a sign of a social stature in Islam. Why? Because the Sahaba, who are the best people, things were very easier than this. Not from the religious perspective, also from the social perspective. At the time of the Sahaba, we have found that some noble Sahabas from the companions just agreed on a simple or an average mahar. So it is not a sign of the status of the family in society to increase or to decrease the dowry of their daughter. But at the same time, we have to speak about the other point also, which is nowadays it is recommended that a family or the guardian of the wife or the wife herself should request an average level of dowry. Why we see this, or why we request this? Because we see many of the cases in which yes, the man may appear as a good and salih man, but when he takes the wife easily, he will also let's say give her talaq easily also, or he will not be cautious about her financial rights or any other thing. From the life experience, you have to be moderate about this. We have to make sure, and I am not saying this from a Sharia perspective, but from a life perspective or a life experience. Try to consider the cases of lowering the dowry or the level of the dowry to the least level as exceptions, not as the common practice. As exceptions, just in case, and also try to make sure that first of all that the person who is approaching or making the proposal is a good person. The Prophet ﷺ said, it is narrated, that he said, لا تزوج وليتك إلا لمؤمن إن أحبها أكرمها وإن كرهها لم يظلمها. The Prophet ﷺ said, don't marry your daughter or your sister unless to a believer. If he loved her, he will be generous with her. If he hate her, he will not make injustice to her. So the first point of this generosity or injustice in this case is the dowry, is giving the dowry or fulfilling the obligation of the dowry. Also, one of the rights, and of course, before we start to speak about the rights and obligations, we have to divide these rights and obligations to two categories. Some of the first category is mutual rights and obligations. Second category is one-side rights and obligations. What do we mean by this? Mutual rights and obligations, it will be the right of the husband upon the wife and the right of the wife upon the husband. and one side rights and obligations is the right that exclusively related to the wife, or the right that's exclusively related to the husband. So in this case, in the first point, the dowry is a one-side right or obligation. Why? Because it is the right of the wife and it is the obligation of the husband, and it is not a vice versa. It is not the opposite. The husband has no right of dowry. So this is the first one. The second point is teaching and advising her or him. So the second point is a kind of emotional right and obligation between the man and the woman. They have to teach each other and advise each other. Teach each other the things that they are ignorant about it. So maybe in some cases, the husband may not know about something and the wife will teach him about it. And in some other cases, the wife may not know about some of the aspects of Sharia and the husband have to teach her. The same for advising. Advising mean giving the nasiha to the husband or to the wife. It is a kind of emotional obligation between each one of them. So the wife should give the nasiha to the husband if she see him doing something which is not good from the Islamic perspective, and also the husband would give the nasiha to the wife. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that one of the noble characteristics of the prophets is that they are teaching their wives and they are making nasiha or doing nasiha to their wives, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Prophet Ismail, وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا. وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ, and command your family to do prayer, family or your relatives, but it is more related to the wife here. وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا, and be patient with her. So this is a kind of nasiha. So commanding the wife to do prayer or be patient with the wife is a kind of nasiha, and this nasiha should be a mutual obligation between the wife and the husband, because the wife also is required to be patient with the husband or to give him nasiha. If she saw him, for example, miss the prayer or forget about the prayer, she should command him to do the prayer, and fasting and sadaqah and whatever the Sharia obligation, they have to command each other and to advise each other about the shortcomings in this regard. And this is one of the characteristics of the believers in general, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them in Surah Al-Asr, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. The third point is maintenance and housing, and it is a one-side right or obligation. Means it is the exclusive right of the wife upon the husband, or it is an exclusive obligation or duty upon the husband towards the wife, regardless the financial status of the wife. Because in Islam we have a separate financial status between the man and his wife, or the spouse in Islam. The husband has his own financial status and the wife has her own financial status. So in this case, we can find the man is doing something, and we can also find the woman is doing some business or is having some of the money which is not related to the family. Her own money, she can give him, or she can give it to whatever, or she can spend it in whatever way. So we have separate identities or separate financial identities between the man and the woman. Regardless the financial level of the woman, the man has to provide the maintenance and housing. In some cases, maybe a rich woman marry a poor man. This cannot invalidate this right. The poor man still required or still have the burden to provide the housing and to provide the maintenance of the wife. The wife has the right not to spend money in this regard. But of course, if she can do it voluntarily, it's okay from a concept or a perspective that they are one family or something like this, it's okay. But from the Sharia perspective, the ruling or the burden should be only on the shoulder of the man, not the women. So she is not required if they have financial difficulties. For example, she doesn't have the obligation to go out and work. The obligation also remain on the man. But at the same time, also, if she is voluntarily doing so, it's okay, of course, and it is considered as an aspect of the husn al-ishra or the good partnership between the man and the wife, that they should help each other and they should support each other. But we are talking from a perspective that which right is this one, or which obligation is this one. So the right of maintenance and housing is a mere or the exclusive right of the wife upon the husband. Number 4 is living with them in kindness. Living with them in kindness is a mutual right and obligation. The man has to express the aspect of living with his wife in kindness, and also the woman has to do the same. She has to express and apply this principle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. He is addressing the man to live in kindness with the woman. وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوف. And also Allah said in the Quran, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوف. Regarding the women, they have the same rights which can or which should be fulfilled in kindness. So this is the case. We have this kind of mutual right and obligation of living with each other in kindness. And living with each other in kindness shouldn't be taken as a one-side obligation. Means some people are building their marital relationship on a kind or in the law of you give me, I give you. You be kind with me, I will be kind with you. You are evil with me, I will be evil with you. This is not the case. Kindness should be in every aspect of living or in every act that you are doing in terms of dealing with your partner. Whether you are a man or you are a woman, you have to maintain this principle. And I said it as a principle because it should be a principle throughout the day and night. It should be a principle that is in front of you always, that you have to live in kindness. live mean, or living with your partner in kindness mean all actions that you can do, or all dealings that you are doing with your partner should be under this cover, or should be under this principle that it should be in kindness. The way you demand your right, the way you fulfill your obligations, the way you deal with your husband or your wife, or your families, or the families of your wives and husbands, or the way you are doing things inside the home, or the way you are doing things outside the home, all things and all actions should be in kindness towards the wife and the husband at the same time. Also, one of the mutual rights and obligations is the patience and tolerance. In the previous point, we discussed to live in kindness in all aspects of life. And as we said before in the points before the station, that no one can perfectly always be on the level of perfection. So in this case, you have to try your best to deal with kindness, to fulfill all of your obligations, not only the obligations, but also if something is recommended, it's not obligation, but you are doing it also from the driven by kindness, driven by religiosity, or being righteous, driven by love, driven by responsibility, anything, any drive, but you are always trying to improve and to maintain the level of kindness, or the level of being good with your partner. If there is any shortcoming, then in this case we have to recall, to be patient, and to be tolerant. And to be patient and tolerant is one of the aspects also of being of living with your partner in kindness, but we have to say it separately. Why? Because it is we should focus on it after we are talking about the previous point. Patience and tolerance, let's say, is an integral part of life, especially the marital life. Of course, it's also between brothers and sisters, between the fathers and mothers and their sons and daughters. Yeah, it is a kind of an important part of each relationship, but it is should be in the highest levels between the man and his wife and his wife. Why? Because the relationship between the man and his wife is a contractual relationship, not a blood relationship, which means in the blood relationships between your father or your mother, your brother or sisters, or son or daughter, in the blood relationship, you cannot in any case stop or cut this relationship. Whatever the situation you are now, how much the problems and so on forth, you cannot in any way cut this blood relationship. But on the other hand, you can cut the relationship between your wife or husband, because it is a contractual relationship in its nature. At the same time, it is more greater than the other relationships. The Prophet ﷺ, when he said, if I command someone to prostrate to someone, I will command the wife to prostrate to the husband. So in this case, he didn't say, I will command the woman to prostrate to her mother or daughter or father or anyone else. He just mentioned the husband. On the other, in another narration, he said, the best among you is the best towards their wives. So in this case also, and in another narration, on the other hand, the Prophet ﷺ said or made the standard of any person of being a good person is the standard of his dealing with his wife. So in this case, imagine how the great relationship between the husband and the wife, but at the same time, it can be cut by even one word. So in this case, we have to recall and we have to specify the principle of being patient and being tolerant with your wife and the husband, because the nature of relationship can be that this relationship can be broken. Unfortunately, we have many of the brothers or sisters at the same time are decisive in demanding their rights, and they can easily break out, even with we can say it is justification, but it is not a justification of breaking this great relationship. They are not calling the principle of patience or the principle of tolerance. So in this case, we have to be clear about it. Both points, number 4 and number 5, are mutual obligations and mutual rights between the men and the women, the husband and the wife, and at the same time, they are the most exposed people to each other in this case. They are living with each other the whole life. They are finding many shortcomings from each other, and at the same time, which the danger here is that they can break the relationship. Once they are breaking the relationship in terms of they are not patient or they are not tolerant, they might not be affected by themselves. Also, the sons and daughters, the families in general, can be also affected and endangered. So in this case, we have to be always in this way. We have to be always reminding ourselves to live in kindness with our wives or husbands, and also we have always to remind ourselves always to be patient and to be tolerant with shortcomings. Also, one of the exclusive rights of the wives and exclusive obligations of husbands is that spending the night with the wife. So this is a kind of mutual obligation also, spending the night with the wife and satisfying her natural needs. Of course, we just made this as a wife's station, so I mentioned it is only the wife. But in any case, it is very important issue to cover, which is one of the main goals of the marital relationship is satisfying the natural needs of the men and the women. It is one of the major and foundations why there is something is called marriage in general. For spending the night with the wife, it is considered in fiqh issues in fiqh book as one of the rights of the wives. So the husbands in general have to be at night at the house, not only for or not merely to have intimate relationship, but at least to maintain spending the night with the wife. Of course, we have reflections of this principle of this right in terms of the person who have more than one wife. In this case, he have to spend the night with her in terms of justice. So this is one night and this one night and so on and so forth. But the second part is also an important part, which is satisfying the natural needs of the wife and satisfying the natural needs of the husband. Um, it is a kind of critical issue, and it is a kind of important issue to cover. You have, as a husband, you have to maintain and to let's say, take all reasons, all required reasons to be, all required reasons to fulfill the needs of the wife. And on the other hand, the wife is required to do the same. She has to maintain and she has to do all required reasons to fulfill the natural needs of her husband. Otherwise, there will be a fitna. There will be a fitna for the wife, or there will be a fitna for the husband. So try to focus on this as you focus on anything else which is important in your life. If there is any shortcoming, if there is anything that is not in the right direction, you have to repair it. You have to correct it. You have to do. Sorry. You have to do the required steps, whether to have counseling, to visit the doctor, to do anything, or at least to have the natural reasons to be fit, to be like to know which is the most important things that she needs from the natural perspective, and you fulfill it, and so on and so forth. So try to focus in this part, because some people are made injustice, have been made wrong in this part. Firstly, because they don't think it is an important issue. Secondly, because if they think it is an important issue, they don't take the required steps to improve this intimate relationship. You have also to always improving this intimate relationship. Also, one of the points also in this regard is that some people are shy or feel shy to express that they are not to their partners, that their natural needs are not satisfied to a reasonable level. So in this case, some people are shy to tell their partner, whether the wife or the husband. So you have to be clear about this, and both of you have to do your best in this regard, because it is the aspect that will close the fitna or minimize the chances that one of the partner may experience a fitna in this regard. So try to focus on this aspect of your life together, and try to put your hand on the points of strength and points of weakness, and try to always improve this regard. And it is an obligation. It is an obligation upon the husband to do so, and it is also an obligation upon the wife to do so. So you are doing this as part of your responsibility and your burden, because the other partner just joined you, and one of the major reasons to join this relationship or to make this relationship is the satisfaction of the natural needs. Also, one of the mutual rights and obligations is to defend your partner and to respect his or her honor. We can understand that defending is more related to the men other than the women. The man has the muscle, the man has the power, the man has the authority. So they are the person, or they are the side that should give defending the other partner who doesn't have the muscle, who doesn't have the authority, the power, the strength. So in this case, it is more related to the men to defend their wives and to be the protector of their wife, and it is an integral part of being a man or being a male. And this practice is not only in human beings, but also you can find it in animals, that the man is the protector or the male is the one who defend and protect. But the second point is, as we'll see inshallah also, respecting the honor of the partner is a mutual relationship, as we see also inshallah in the rights of husbands. We will see that he have to maintain respecting her honor, and she has to maintain respecting his honor as a man. Also, one of the mutual rights and obligations among the husbands and wives is that they shouldn't reveal the bedroom secrets or the intimate secrets or the secrets that are, let's say, the secrets that are related to the relationship with each other. Maybe the secret may be a shortcoming from the wife or a shortcoming from the husband. Maybe a secret is something in the relationship. Anyway, the secret that shouldn't be outside the bedroom or the exclusive life of the man and the woman shouldn't be out, shouldn't be revealed to anyone, even the mother and father, except in one case, or this very minor case, is that in a case of there is a big problem, and this problem requires to reveal something. Unless there is no big problem, many people, unfortunately, we see, especially from the wife perspective, and this is not prejudice, but it is the practice that we can see. From the wife perspective, she can easily talk to her mother about something, or talk to her sister about something which is not the Islamic way of maintaining the secrets or the bedroom secrets or the marital relationship secrets. So in this case, try to not reveal any of the things that shouldn't be revealed outside the family or outside the house. And this is a kind of obligation upon the husband towards the wife, and upon the wife towards the husband. And we have also narrations in this regard about the recommendation or the command not to reveal the bedroom secrets. Also, one of the exclusive rights and obligation, exclusive rights of the wives upon the husbands is that it is to honor the conditions stipulated by her in the marriage contract. In some cases, we have in marriage contract an item of the conditions or special conditions. Of course, when we will speak about, inshallah, the marriage contract and the parts of the marriage contract, in the parts of the marriage contracts, there are some things which are like obligatory or integral parts of the marriage contract. Some other things are not integral parts, including the conditions or the special, let's say the special conditions of wives. Some, for example, the wife has the right to say something which is special and stipulate it as a condition in the marriage contract. For example, she can make a condition of having so and so house, for example. Of course, she shouldn't go to extremism in this in this level, but it is still her right to do a condition or to make a condition. I need so and so house, or I need so and so service from the husband. In this case, it is an obligatory upon the husband to fulfill and to make all of these conditions real. So also she can condition, for example, she can make a condition that she will not travel with the husband to a foreign country, for example, or a non-Muslim country, for example. It is a kind of condition. And the man, as long as the man agrees on the contract, then he should agree on all of the parties or the parts of the contract, whether it is an integral part or obligatory conditions or special conditions stipulated from the wife. So if she conditioned, for example, she cannot travel with him, then he has to maintain this condition. Because if there is no condition, for example, in this case, if there is no condition that she shouldn't travel to any foreign country or Muslim country or any foreign country, in this case, when he travel, it becomes her duty to travel with him. And the Prophet ﷺ always traveled with wives. And of course, we will also shed the light on some of the Sharia rulings on this, inshallah, when we come to relationship between spouse in Islam in the third lecture. But in general, the man have to attain and have to fulfill all conditions as long as he agreed on it. And also we will speak, inshallah, about the kind of conditions, special conditions. Some conditions are with the Sharia, some other conditions are against the Sharia. We will speak about this in detail, inshallah. Also, one of the exclusive rights of wives upon the husbands is the justice between wives. If he has more than one wife, in this case, it is a burden, it is an obligation upon him to be just with them, in terms of housing, in terms of maintenance, in terms of staying the night with each one, in terms of any kind of obligations and duties. He has to be just with them. If he gave more than the other, or if he stayed with one more than the other, in this case, he will expose himself to the penalty that the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith: من كانت له امرأتان فلم يعدل بينهما جاء يوم القيامة وشقه مائل. Whoever had two wives and he made injustice to one of them, he will be resurrected at the day of judgment with a distracted half. So he should be a full body, but he will be a distracted half. Why? Because he distracted one or half of his body who was his wife in dunya. So in this case, justice between wives is a necessity, or it is one of the foundational and most fundamental obligations upon the husbands who have more than one wife. Also, one of the mutual rights and obligations is the inheritance. The wife has the right to inherit the husband, and the husband has the right to inherit the wife, as stipulated in the Sharia, especially in Surah An-Nisa. The portions and the mechanism of inheriting each other has been stipulated in the Quran and in the Sunnah. So it is a kind of a mutual relationship between the man and the woman, or the wife and the husband. They have to inherit each other. The next part of the lecture is what should be after the rights, what should be known after the rights. Of course, we have now an issue of or background on some points or some meanings beyond or before knowing the rights, and we just make briefly some of the rights, and then we have to shed the light on some of the important meanings and points before knowing the rights. The first important thing which should be covered after knowing the right is how to demand your rights, or how to ask the other partner about your rights. It is a kind of very important issue, because you may have the right, but you may demand it in a wrong way. And in this way, the problem comes. The problems in general, in most cases, if there is a problem, the two parties of the problem thinking that they are on the right way, or thinking that they are, or they have the right position. In many cases, I dare to say it is 99% of problems, both parties, especially between the wives and the husbands, both parts are seeing or are addressing the problem from their own perspective, or from their own mentality, their own concept of mutual rights and obligations, and what to give and what to receive. So this is in most cases. So the most important thing, beside knowing the rights and obligation, is how to demand your rights, how to deal with other partner in demanding the rights. In this case, we have to let's say prioritize our rights. There are some essential rights. There are some other non-essential rights, or there are very important, and there are important and there are less important rights. If we prioritize the rights, our rights and obligations, we can engineer the process of demanding our rights in a plausible way, in a reasonable way, in a way that is characterized by wisdom, and by also living in kindness. Prioritizing the rights is necessary for the wives, and also necessary for the husbands. Also in the major problems that we can see is that the wife is dealing with her husband from her own mentality as a wife or as a woman, and the man so she is expecting the man to be like her in terms of dealing with other things as a woman, and on the other hand, the man is the same. She is dealing with his wife from a masculine perspective, or from a man mentality. And we can, inshallah, make some of the elaboration on this part also in next lecture. Why? Because it is important. As long as we understand our diversity, understand the psychological parts or the psychological identity of each other, this will help us, inshallah, in the process of how to demand our rights. Some wives have this understanding, and some men have also, or husbands have this understanding, but the majority, or in most cases of problems, we cannot see this mutual understanding of the difference between how men is looking to things, and how how men are looking to things, and how women are looking to things. So we have to prioritize our rights to demand the most essential one, and then to demand the lower levels. And also, on the other hand, we have to recall the kindness, to demand our rights with kindness, not with quarrels, not with making problems. It is just by the nasiha, by the understanding, by the clear discussion with each other, and by the hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and many other things. The other point is be thankful. Whatever the level of the kindness you have, be thankful to it, be grateful to it, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If the more you are grateful, the more you will receive a good and kindness. Also, be understanding for the shortcomings. If your partner, for example, is lacking some of the rights, or having some problems in fulfilling some of the rights, be understanding. Be understanding, because without understanding, really the life between wives and husbands will be full of quarrels, full of problems, and at the end of the day, it may the being not understanding may lead you at the end of the day to break the relationship. So these are the main points to ponder and to consider after knowing your rights, and how to which is how to demand it, how to be thankful, and how to be understanding. So if you have any question, can receive some question, inshallah. If you have any question, you can write in the chat, or you can use the mic. Barakallahu fikum. Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The sister saying, what are the ways that you mentioned we could demand our rights? How? Yes, it is a good question. How demanding our rights, because we are just falling short to the time, but I will just try to brief it. Demanding the rights is leveled, as we said before. Number one is to prioritize the rights. Means you have many rights. Okay, try to prioritize it. I have to ask this as the most important one to do, or as the most important one to draw the attention of the partner to fulfill it. For example, a woman is suffering from that her husband, for example, didn't give her the dowry, or didn't spend on her on the right way, and at the same time she is suffering from he is being away from house during the whole day, for example. He may be away from her the house during the whole way, and there is, of course, a lack of communication, or a lack of living together. In this case, you have to prioritize the rights. The first right is you have to maintain yourself, you have to maintain your family, your sons and daughters, before you ask him to stay at home with you at some parts of the day, for example, to be with the children. So try to prioritize the rights, means you have to make some rights are, these rights are essential, and the other rights are, maybe essential, and other rights are, it is recommended, you can do it, if not, try to focus on the previous levels or previous categories. Why? Because you will help your partner in this case to focus or to pay the due attention to the most essential rights. Some husbands, unfortunately, may think that giving his wife a iPhone or to connect her always with her family on the internet, for example, he just thinks that this is the right, and he neglects, for example, to stay himself with her or to have a long discussions with her. So in this case, you have to have this prioritization, and you have to be aware about it, and you have to draw the attention of the other partner to it. So this is the first. The second point is try to make clear sessions of discussion, sessions of clear discussions between you and your partner. Means you have to sit together, whether it is daily, weekly, monthly. You have to sit together and you have to discuss in an open-minded and in a clear way that you are falling short in this right, and you have to pay attention to it, and you have falling short in this right, and you have to pay attention on it, you have to improve it. So in this case, this clear discussion, this integrity between the man and the woman, or the wife and the daughter, would be a great help to improve and to demand your right in a kind way. Imagine the difference between asking the man to pay more in maintenance, for example. Imagine the difference between asking him in a friendly session with you, in a dinner, for example. After the dinner, for example, you are just taking a friendly discussion, or asking him in the court to do the same. Imagine the difference between the two demands, and both are demands, but imagine the difference. So in this case, we have to seek the most friendly way of asking these rights, and it will result, inshallah, in a more intimate life between you and him, and at the same time it will be less troubles or less problems, as long as you are keeping the wisdom way or the rational way of demanding your rights. Also, demanding rights can be of another level, which we cannot make ourselves blind about it. Demanding our rights or the rights also can be not through the friendly sessions with the husband, as long as there is 1 session, 2 sessions, 10 sessions, 20 sessions, but the husband is not responding, or the wife is not responding. So in this case, there must be a third party to intervene and to request him or her to fulfill the rights. For example, if the wife, for example, is falling short in some points or some rights, and the husband was always trying to make nasiha to her, but she didn't respond. In this case, he may ask her mother or her father to try to explain the problem to him and to command her to reform or to correct this option. On the other hand, the same for the husband. For example, if he is mistreating his wife, or maybe he is violent with his wife. So in this case, after asking or demanding in a friendly way that this is against Islam and this is against the rulings of Islam, there is no reform, there is no improvement. In this case, she has to, or she can, or she has the right to demand this right from any person who has the authority on the husband, like his father, for example, or from her own side also. Just let's make sure that life is not always goes on the right direction. So in this case, as long as there is a friendly way, it's okay. Otherwise, you have to demand your rights, or to try to reform the relationship in whatever the way. Even if there is a counseling from another third party. That's why there is it is important to befriend, or to be surrounded with the people of wisdom and the people of knowledge, because they are the first line after the line of the family. They are the first line to resort to, and they will be more likely to solve your problems if there is a difficulty in solving the problems individually or internally within the house. So in this case, you have the room to demand your rights from another way. It may reach the level to demand your rights from the court, but this is, of course, should be in the cases that it is impossible to demand your right in a friendly way. Barakallahu fikum. Do you have any other questions? I think time now is out. It's now 11:30 in Malaysia. So, Jazakumullah khairan for listening. Barakallahu fikum. May Allah bless you. May Allah increase your knowledge and increase your iman. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.